Okay, so number 11 says the cost of a cab ride is $4.25 plus 35 cents per mile. How many miles did a person travel? The cost of the cab ride was $14.75. Well, 35 cents per mile, you should know that means the slope, and $4.25, that's your y-intercept. So I'm going to work this problem out on this side. Okay, so with that being said, my equation is y equals 0.35x plus 4.25. Now, they're telling you that this person got charged $14.75. So that means this is your y. So there's two ways you can do this. You can take this 14.75 and put it in the place for y and solve for x. You can go ahead and do that. So you would jailbreak the 425 over by doing minus 425, and then you're going to have to divide by 0.35. Or you can just try different inputs and outputs. I would just do the different inputs and outputs. So if you want to solve for x, that's perfectly fine. But for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a table. Okay. And my equation is 0.35x plus 4.25, and that will be my y. Now I'm looking for the y to be 1475, okay? So I'll start with something simple, 10, okay? So instead of the x, I'm going to put in 10. So 0.35 times 10 is $3.50 plus $4.25 comes out to be 775, okay? So that's not 1475, so it's not 10, so I gotta go higher, okay? So now I'm gonna try 20. And now I'm just trying random numbers. You could have tried 15. I'm just gonna go by tens, and if I go over, then I'll go down, but if I'm not close enough, then I'll keep going by tens. So 0.35 times my x. So instead of the x, I'm going to put parentheses and then goes 20. So 0.35 times 20, and you can do that multiplying on the side if you want to. And it comes out to be 7 plus 4.25 comes out to be 11.25. That's not 1475, so I got to keep going. So this time I'm going to try 30. So 0.35 parentheses plus 4.25, and instead of the parentheses, I'm going to put 30. So 0.35 times 30 comes out to be 10.50 plus $4.25 comes out to be 1475. So that's what I was looking for. So for 30 miles, I end up with $14.75. Okay? So my answer will be 30 for that problem. Now, like I said, you could have plugged in for the y 14.75, solved for the x, and your answer would have came out to be 30 once you solved. Now, let's do number 12. How far is the y-intercept of the function that fits the value in the table below from the y-intercept of the graph? So, let's find the y-intercept of each. So let's start with the graph. The y-intercept of the graph, as you can tell, is -3. Now, to be able to find the y-intercept of this table, I need to find the slope. Okay? So let's start. 17 minus 13 is 4. 13 minus 9 is 4. 9 minus 5 is 4. 5 minus 1 is 4. 11 minus 9 is 2. 9 minus 7 is 2. And it's 2. So basically your slope is the right side over the left. So 4 over 2 gives you 2. So your slope for this table is 2. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue from 3, 1. Okay, so I took the very top part of the table and I'm going to continue. So I need to go to 2, go to 1, and then get to 0. I'm looking for the y-intercept, so I need to get to 0 and find the y value. Well, if I know that my slope is 2, I'm going to do 1 minus 2 is -1. -1 minus 2 is -3. -3 minus 2 is -5. So my y-intercept for the table is -5. So how far apart are -5 and -2? It will be 2. So the value comes out to be 2. Okay, moving on. Number 13. What is f of 5 in the function f of x equals 5 halves x minus 2? So remember, this means x equals 5. So instead of the x, I'm going to put parentheses, and inside those parentheses, n goes 5. Now remember, when you're multiplying fractions, you gotta multiply straight across. So I need to change this 5 into a fraction. So I'm gonna put a 1 under it, and I'm gonna multiply straight across. And remember, you start out with the multiplying first and then subtracting. So 5 times 5 is 25. 2 times 1 is 2. So now we're left with 25 halves minus 2. Now, I need to find the least common denominator. The least common denominator is 2. So obviously 25 stays the same. The least common denominator here we said was 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. So it'd be minus 4. So 25 minus 4 is 21 over 2. So your answer for number 13 is 21 halves. Okay, moving on. Number 14, this is the last one for the gridded response and the inactive part. So it says, Chip graphs the function 2 times 2x plus y equals 6. What is the y-intercept? So first thing I need to do is get rid of the parentheses. So 2 times 2x is 4x. 2 times y is 2y equals 6. Now the next thing I need to do is solve for the y. So I'm going to write my equation over here and then go from there. So first thing I need to do is jailbreak the 4x. So I'm left with 2y equals 6 minus 4x. Then I'm going to divide by 2. And now I'll simplify. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Negative 4x divided by 2 is negative 2x. So what's my y-intercept? 3. So my answer is 3 for this problem, because it's the number without the x. Okay, starting with number 15, I can use my calculator. So from this point forward, I'll be using the calculator at random points. But if you would like to use the calculator at any time, you're welcome to. So number 15, Jacob stated that he solved the equation 2x plus 3 equals 5 using the addition and multiplication property of equality. Which statement is true? So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to solve this problem just so I can be able to see what we're talking about. So the opposite of adding 3 is minus 3, so 2x, 5 minus 3 will be 2. Then the opposite of multiplying by 2 is to divide by 2, so x equals 1. So now, we basically did, we added a negative 1, or negative 3, and then we basically divided by 2, but they said multiplying, so in reality, we're multiplying by 1/2, okay? When you divide by 2, it's the same thing as multiplying by 1/2. So if you look at answer choice A, Jacob added negative 3, that's right, and you multiply by 1/2, that's the same thing as dividing by 2. So my answer will be A. Okay. 16. Karen wants her monthly long distance phone bill to be less than $30. So less than $30 means that it's going to be, the biggest amount is going to be 30. So anything below that will work. So less than 30. Now, it says that her plan charges 6 cents per minute plus a monthly charge of $4.95. So remember, 6 cents per minute means the slope. So 0.06x plus the y-intercept, which is $4.95. It's less than 30 because we want it to be smaller than $30. So of course my answer choices are messed up, but in your book it should be correct. This answer choice C should be, the answer should say less than 30. Okay, so the answer comes out to be C. Okay, moving on. Number 17. Mike works as an electrician. He charges $50 for the first hour and $35 for each additional hour. Mike was paid $155 for his last job. Which equation could be used to determine the number of hours each that Mike worked? So we're going to have to create an equation. Now, couple things. $35 for each additional hour. You know that means the slope. So my slope is 35. Now they tell you that $50 is the first hour. So that means hour 1 is $50. So they gave you an order pair. They didn't tell you that the initial value was. It didn't say the base fee, the initial value, the starting value. They said the first hour is $50. They didn't say that that the initial value or the y-intercept is 50. So with that being said, I'm going to have to find the slope, which I already have, which is 35. Next thing I need to do is find the letter B, which is the y-intercept. So using my slope and the ordered pair, I'm going to do y equals mx plus b. So y is 50, the m is 35, and then the x is 1 plus b. So 35 times 1 is 35 plus b equals 50. So the opposite of a plus 35 is a minus 35. So 50 minus 35 is 15 equals b. So my slope is 35, my y-intercept is 15. So finally, my equation, using those two pieces of information, I'm going to write my equation. So y equals 35x plus 15. So there's my equation. Obviously, A and B do not work, okay? Now remember, they said that he got paid $155, so for the y, it's going to be 155 equals 35x plus 15, okay? So to be able to match it up, remember that all your equations have to be equal to 155, so because that's how much he earned. So as you can tell, all my answer choices are equal to 155, so I don't have to worry. Really, the only thing I'm looking for is the one that has 35x plus 15. Now, as you can tell, answer choice C and D have parentheses, so I'm going to have to solve. So let's start with answer choice C. My equation is 50 plus 35h minus 1 equals 155. So let's distribute 35h minus 35 plus 50 equals 155. So when you combine your like terms, on the left side, 50 minus 35 is 15. And then bring down your 35h equals 155. And as you can tell, 35x and h are the same thing. Plus 15 equals 155. So with that, my answer is C. Now this one was a little bit tricky because at first you would think that because he's charging the first hour, that will be your y-intercept. But remember, y-intercept is the starting value. That means 0. Okay, it's the 0 value. So that means for it to count as the initial value, they should have said that he was getting charged for the initial call, for the initial amount, for the 0 hour. First hour is not the same thing as the initial, okay? So just be very careful with that. Moving on to number 18. It says Rachel starts with $10 in her savings account. When 1 week has passed, she plans to add another $5. So with that, she starts with $10, so that's the y-intercept is 10, and then she wants to add $5 each week. So the slope is 5. So let's see which graph has a y-intercept of 10 and a slope of 5. So let's start with answer choice A. Starts with 10, so that's my y-intercept, and let's see if it has a slope of 5. Rise is 5, run is 1. So rise over run, that's 5 over 1, which is 5. So the answer is A because it has a slope of 5 and it has a y-intercept of 10.